Hello guys, this is Gugusteh and I'm gonna talk to you about the different armors and weapons in Albion. In this first video, I will show you the basics of each weapon line. I'll also give you some examples where some of the weapons could be played. So let's talk first about the armors. There's three kinds of them. The plate armors, giving you some defensive stats. The leather jackets, giving you a mix between offensive and defensive. And the close robes, giving you some really offensive stats. The plate armors are mainly played by tanks and supports, the only exception being the soldier armor, played by bruisers because of its active spell. In general, all the other active spells are supportive or defensive. Leather jackets are mainly played by melee DPS. Their stats and spells make them really strong for solo players in the open world. Close robes are mainly played by healers and ranged DPS because of their high healing and damage bonuses. Their lack of defensive stats make them hard to play without a front lane. All the helmets and boots have the same stats, so you can play a tank with a close helmet or a healer with a plate helmet, it won't really matter. The only important things are the active and passive spells. So let's talk about the weapons. I'll start with swords. Swords are relying on their Q spell ability to increase the power of their E ability. They are really decent in terms of mobility. They are used in pretty much every scale of PvP and also sometimes in PvE, with the carving sword being one of the most efficient pieces of the game. Paladins are really decent in ZVZs, and dual swords are really efficient in 5v5 scale. Axes are another kind of melee DPS weapon. They are relying on dots and healing reduction. The battle axe is one of the most efficient solo PvE weapons. The great axe is really fun to play in solo PvP situations. The four other weapons are really efficient in small scale PvP, but there is no real interesting axe for large scale PvP. The maces are the first kind of tank weapons. They are really efficient because of the root and air compressor Ws. The Morning Star is one of the best weapons to tank in a large-scale fight. The Incubus Mace is really strong in PvE, and the Heavy Mace is one of the best tank weapons for small-scale PvP. Hammers are some other tank weapons. They are relying on stuns and throws. The Gravekeeper and the One-Handed Hammer are the most used of them, where the Gravekeeper is super efficient for large-scale PvP, and the One-Handed Hammer is really efficient for PvE situations. Crossbows are ranged DPS weapons. They are mainly played in close. You can find a lot of siege bows and whipping repeaters in large-scale PvP. Also, for PvE situations, you can find the Ballcasters. They are one of the most efficient mono-target DPS in the game. Bows are pretty much viable in every situation except in 5v5. For large-scale PvP, you can find the longbow and the wailing bow. They are really efficient. For PvE, you have the Baden bow, which cancels the enemies inside the area. For solo PvP, you can have the Wabo, which is one of the best weapons for that. You have also the normal bow and the Whispering Bow being two weapons based on auto attacks. They are not really played a lot, but they can be efficient if you play them well. Spears are another kind of melee DPS weapon. They don't have any particular assets, but they have a lot of different good aspects. The Iron Spear is one of the most played weapon in 5v5 situation. The Ninja Staffs are one of the two healing lines of Arben. They are relying a lot on heal over time. The two first staff, Nature and Druidic, are mainly used in 5v5 situations. The Great Nature Staff is used a lot in the open world as a solo player. It has a lot of survivability. The three last weapons here are really decent for large-scale PvP. Daggers are another kind of melee DPS weapons. They are relying on mono-target damage and bursts. Death Givers are played sometimes in GVGs, but it's really situational. The Bloodletter is the most mobile weapon of Albion, and it's played a lot by gankers and gatherers to be able to catch up with someone or to escape him. The quarterstaffs are another kind of tank weapon. They are really efficient because of their mobility and displacement effects. The Ironclad staff is the most used tank weapon in 5v5 situations. The Soulsight is a weapon of choice for a shot caller in a large-scale fight. The Fire Staffs are another kind of ranged DPS weapons. They are really efficient because of their high damage and their dots. The Infernal Staff is the most used weapon in 5v5 situations. The Brimstone is one of the best ranged DPS in a large-scale fight. The Holy Staffs are the other kind of healing weapons in Albion. They are way less mobile than the Nature Staff, but they have some instant healing. The Fallen Staff is the most used healing weapon in Albion. Arcade Staff is really particular because it can either be played as a support or as a mono-target DPS. The Locus is the best weapon for large-scale fights. There is a lot of possibilities with every arcane staff, and it's really hard to define it. But it's the main support class in Albion. Frost staff are relying on instant damage and slows, so you can mainly play them as a ranged DPS, but sometimes you can also play them as a support. Curse staff are another kind of ranged DPS weapon. They don't have any cast time, but they are relying on dots. The one-handed curse staff is a lot used in solo PvP, where the Great Curse Staff is one of the main DPS used in 5v5 situation. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see a more precise review of a specific weapon, or if you have any feedback to give, feel free to write a comment down below. Thanks for watching.